Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're taking on a really fascinating challenge. We are going to build a wholesome, entirely jargon-free mental model of a child's mind together. If you've ever felt completely baffled by a sudden meltdown or a stubborn refusal, well, you are absolutely in the right place. By the end of our time today, that confusing behavior is finally going to make sense. Let's look under the hood of child development to see exactly how they think, feel, and grow.
Right off the bat, here's the core anchor phrase I want you to keep in mind today. Behavior is communication, and development is the reason behind the communication. Children really aren't just acting out to give us a hard time, I promise. Literally, every single thing they do is a signal. They're broadcasting the current limits of their developing brains. Now, what's really interesting about this contrast is how it challenges our adult assumptions. We look at the surface, right? We see a tantrum, a refusal, or sudden silence, and we instantly think, okay, behavioral problem. But what's actually happening inside? That tantrum? It's actually just overwhelm. That refusal? It's fear or maybe extreme fatigue. That silence is literally a system shutdown. Behavior is just a child's internal system desperately trying to handle stress with the limited tools it currently has. So, here's our metaphorical map for today. 1, the core paradigm shift. 2, a mind under construction. 3, feeling before reasoning. 4, the behavior learning loop. And finally 5, a better supportive lens. Just like with kids, laying out a predictable path helps us all learn a bit better. Section 1, the core paradigm shift. Okay, let's dive into this fundamental rule. A child is not a small adult. It sounds obvious, right? But treating them like a mini adult is the absolute quickest way to view their struggles as moral failures instead of what they really are, developmental signals. Think of a child's mind kind of like an old town drainage system. When a pipe gets blocked, the water doesn't misbehave, right? It just follows whatever path the system actually allows. Well, child behavior works the exact same way. Section 2, a mind under construction. So if a child isn't a mini adult, what are they? Well, their mind isn't simply missing information, it's missing fully built capacity. Think of it as a building being constructed floor by floor. The ground floor is ready first, handling the basics: alertness, hunger, comfort, fear. The upper floors, which handle complex things like planning and self-control, those literally take years to build. We simply cannot expect a child to use upper floor reasoning under pressure if those floors are still covered in scaffolding. Section 3, feeling before reasoning. So how do children actually process the world around them? One of our biggest adult misunderstandings is assuming children reason first and feel second. It is exactly the opposite. Imagine a smoke alarm in a house. It doesn't pause to analyze if the smoke is from burnt toast or a raging 5-alarm fire. It just blares. A child's emotional system is that alarm. It reacts instantly to restore safety. This is exactly why your calm, perfectly logical explanation completely fails during a meltdown. The alarm is simply too loud for the thinking part of the mind to take the lead. And what about their attention? It's not this giant panoramic space. It's more like a small, intense flashlight. Whatever that beam lands on is incredibly bright, and the rest just fades away into the dark. So when a child ignores you, it isn't always defiance. Young minds overload very easily. Moving from, say, playing with blocks to suddenly putting on shoes, well, for them, it feels like switching train tracks at top speed. Similarly, a child's memory is like writing on soft clay. They don't just store cold, hard facts. They store the emotional meaning of an experience. A child who is regularly soothed begins to predict help. A child who is ignored predicts isolation. Their memory isn't just a filing cabinet. It's actively creating a prediction engine for how the entire world works. Which brings us to self-control. We really need to stop thinking of it as a personality trait and start thinking of it as bicycle brakes. It's a developing mechanical skill. The child might really want to stop, but if the brakes are weak, or if the system just runs out of fuel after a long, exhausting day at school, stopping is incredibly hard. Instead of asking what character defect a child has, we need to pause and ask, what capacity is missing right now when those brakes fail? Before a child can process any lesson, any rule, or any correction you give them, their brain is silently asking one critical unspoken question: am I safe here? If the answer feels like no, their system immediately moves to protect itself by fighting, fleeing, or just shutting down entirely. So the crucial point is that children read safety before they read meaning. They are constantly scanning you, your tone of voice, your body language, your facial expressions. A calm voice lowers that smoke alarm. A harsh voice raises it, even if your actual words are perfectly correct. They interpret your relationship and your feelings long before they ever decode your actual vocabulary. Section 4. The Behavior Learning Loop. Now we can really see how development, feelings, and the environment all tie together. Growth happens in this continuous loop. Step 1, a feeling appears. Step 2, a behavior follows as the child clumsily tries to manage it. Step 3, the environment responds. And Step 4, the brain remembers what worked. Behavior isn't just random. It's an attempt to solve a problem that gets heavily reinforced by how the environment responds. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when we slow that loop down. It reveals so much. On the inside, a child might be experiencing deep fear or uncertainty. What you observe on the outside is clinging, refusal, or total silence. But based on our reaction, the child learns a crucial lesson, like, I need safety before I can engage. Slowing down the moment like this reveals the true function of confusing behavior, whether that's happening at the dinner table or in the classroom. Because a child in distress cannot absorb a lesson, calm routines become incredibly important. Routines act like a clear, paved path through an overgrown field. They reduce mental load. They remove all the friction of guessing what happens next. Calm, predictable routines aren't just an extra nice to have, they are the actual biological prerequisite for learning. Section 5. A better supportive lens. Let's move forward and see how this builds into real-world interactions. The old mindset reacts to the surface and asks, what is wrong with this child? But with our new lens, we replace blame and frustration with genuine empathy. We start asking, what is this child's mind actually able to do right now? We look at the scaffolding, we check the bicycle brakes, we listen for the smoke alarm. Which leaves us with this final, truly empowering thought. Children are not simply acting out. They are growing, adapting, and learning in real time. We now have a solid map to understand the developing mind underneath the surface behavior. The only question left is, how will you use this map to guide the kids in your life tomorrow? Thank you so much for watching this explainer, and keep learning.